afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Good to have you here. Hello, Frank, Garth, Carol, Jan, everybody in the house. And yeah, so we're going to dive into this. This is all about. All right. Yeah, this is all about coffee this morning. Actually, I'm drinking peppermint coffee, and it's delicious. So I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to dive into this. It's going to be really fun. So essentially talking about, oh yeah, designers. And this is part 2. So let me go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll dive into this. So this will be fun. And again, good morning, everyone. Awesome. Muriel, I see you out there. Awesome. Sweet. Cool. All right, I think we're live. So here we are. This is kind of what I was working on, just like gonna work on a simple design essentially. And let me actually turn on a couple things, show edges. I turned off a lot of these things, a lot of these smart guides. But in general, I think we're okay. So basically I was using this super fun font, which has a ton of ligatures and glyphs associated with it. So let me go to my properties panel. Bropella, really into Bropella right now. So this is what I like about it. You can have different flourishes added to it. You just get all this gorgeous stuff. I kind of like this. Which one do I like? I like this one. So that's what I have, and I am in Illustrator. So that's actually where we're going to start. Never ever turn off the rulers. I don't know, rulers kind of annoy me, by the way, because they just take up screen real estate, and I just don't need it. Because, like, what's the point in the size of things in Illustrator if it's all vector? That's kind of where I'm at. But anyways, here's my text. I could always change the color and stuff like that. But what I want to do is I want to go into the 3D materials panel. I'm going to show you this update that we have. So 3D materials, we'll just do a quick extrude on this text. Here we are, fancy extrude, blah, 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 right? This is not next level 3D, by the way. What does get to be a little bit more next level is sort of twisting and tapering and some new features in here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to taper it down. What taper means is it kind of gives it this 3D look, right, without adding perspective, right? So we can kind of see what's happening there. It's just tapering it down will just increase the depth, and you could see it taper down. Gets to be pretty interesting also when we start to twist it as well. So I'm going to change this rotation back to top. Oh, sorry. Let's go front. And then we're going to twist it. And now we get this fun look. I just like this sort of fun twisty look to it. Let's throw a bevel on top and make sure that's rounded, because I want this to be just a little bit more flowy is what I'm going for. Right? So there it is. There's the little twist. And we could even taper it down even more like that. So doesn't it, it kind of has the same 3D look as the text. The text is very flowy. Now the 3D has that same sort of look, that same style, which is fun. All right. I usually turn off a lot of things, and I wish there was one. I wish there was a. I know there's presentation mode, and there's different screen modes, but I want to be able to turn off all of the guides with one shortcut key, and I wish that existed. All right, so let's go to materials now. Nothing too fancy here. I will crank up the metallicness. Right, so we're going to make this super shiny. You can see right down here. Also, if you play with the roughness, you could start to see how much that light gets reflected as well. But the roughness is not bad, kind of leaving that in the middle, but cranking up the metallicness. Now I'm going to get into the next level stuff, because this is brand new. Bruce, are you getting next level? What does that even mean, next level? It's so silly. Basically, kind of means new to me, right? And here, this is new. We have the ability to add up to 10 lights in here. So it's like, finally, this is much more useful to me. So you can see how this has been redesigned. We have our light source. We can increase the intensity of it. We can start to move that around, and you can see what's happening there, right? So there's that light. Let's change the color of this one. We're going to change it to yellow like that, and it gives it just that splash of little. But now I can have a 3-point light system. So I can add another light source, move it to, say, the other side, change that to like a teal. Right? And now you get this interesting look. I'm into this. Escalator tip. I like the sound of that. And let's actually crank up the intensity of this. And we get, obviously, even more color. But that's what I'm just going to add, like 3. You can add up to 10, but I think when you start adding a lot, it's gonna add a lot to your render time. So that's my only concern there. Shall we try green just for fun? Let's crank up that green. Come on, green. Where's the green? I'm not really seeing any green. And this is cranked up to 200%. And this might happen as well because essentially what we're doing is we're just doing a sort of a draft render, right? And what we want to do, and this is what's going to take some time, so let me just save my file. But let's go in and just quickly ray trace that puppy out. Turn that on. We're going to just do low. I'll even turn off reduce noise, and I'll hit render. And yeah, it's going to go ahead and render and do its thing. Let me know if you guys have questions. Is it easy to animate? It can be. Now, obviously, we're in Illustrator, so I'm probably not going to animate it in here. Since you mentioned that, Shelby, you can animate. Let me just jump into... Oh, that was actually pretty fast. You actually can have animations created in Stager. So a little sneak preview of what's happening later on this morning or this afternoon, basically, within the hour. But can you color each face separately? No, you cannot. What you can do when it comes to coloring and painting on each face, I would use Painter. We're going to get into Painter there. Okay, so this isn't bad. Let's go down. Here's one thing I did not do is turn on shadows. So we have 3 light sources. We're going to turn on shadows. We'll twirl this down. And now we're really going to see this like our spinning beach ball kick in as it starts to generate these shadows, right? So this is the stuff that takes time. Should I have turned it on? I don't know. But we could finally see that green, by the way. We can see a little bit of that green being bounced off this side, and that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, so Annika, I thought the new configuration, I don't have a new configuration, I just didn't have shadows turned on. But obviously, since we're dealing with light, that's going to add to the time, and I'm already... But look what it did. There we are. Remember, I turned off reduce noise, so you'll get some noise in there. I'm just trying to make this as fast as possible. But now we can see sort of those shadows being cast in multiple directions. Okay. And that's okay. It's not bad. I'm actually going to, you know what? I might even just take this and export this out. Let's take this. Let's add it to our export panel. And let's change this to say OBJ. So we're just going to export out, light it up, and export it to my desktop. What We Do in the Shadows is hilarious. Oh, man, I missed that show. I can't wait for the next season to come out. Love the movie, love the series. I'm all about it, man. New Zealand comedy, you know. I love Jermaine Clement, and all those guys are just so funny. All right, so there's my OBJ that just got created and the material. Looks kind of funky. It might be kind of funky even when I bring it into Stager, but Stager also has new things as well. So we'll jump into Stager. We'll just take this OBJ, drop it in. Looks like I clicked away from a dialog. Import, there we are. There it is. Let's frame it up. Maybe get rid of the ground. And here we have it. Let's take a look. So there's that extreme. Oh, you know what would look good too? Is if we did the opposite of this. I love even this side. Oh man, that will be cool. So anyways, just getting different ideas. We can see this in here. We can go to our starter assets, into our materials. I just dropped in the, let's take a look at light it up. So here's all the individual faces and everything. Look at that. So now I can see all these individual parts that can have sort of different properties to them. I'm going to try to drop this on the entire folder. And then it applies that material like everywhere, right? So drop it onto the folder. If you happen to just kind of take it and drop it onto your object, it might only apply to part of it. So we can do that too if we want to. We can have each one of these like maybe be like a different color. And we can also just have fun with it. We're just going to have fun with this. Sure, let's go with soft plastic. Each letter, yeah, has a different, currently has a different material on it. Is that ugly? Yeah, you would be right. This is kind of ugly. Can we all agree? Too much is going on. It's like, what's the point? What's the point of me adding this sort of texture? But still, let's kind of see what this has. Actually, we're going to do one more. I'm going to do you one better for you. Jump in here, add some lights. Let's go with Studio 80s Horror. Click on that. It adds that environment light right down here. Can you see it? Bingo. I mean, it could still use more lights, like a point light. Let's drop a point light in there. Where are you, point light? Again, this is just part 2. We'll move that into place, rotate it around using the 1, 2, and 3 keys. That point light is so far away. So let's take this. This should really ultimately like be right here in the center point. Because anytime I add an object, it's going to put it sort of at the 0, 0 mark. So now it's in a better position. And we have that light right there. We can take that point light, start duplicating it. You get the idea, right? Pretty straightforward. But I mentioned animation, and I want to show you animation as well. You know, I really want to change this, a lot of this text. But let's just see how this looks. Shall we? Throwing some lights in, hit render, basically ray tracing. Give me a little ray tracing preview. You know, this is what it looks like. It's not bad. What do you guys think? The red one is cool. Should all of it be red like that? Like maybe it all should be red. Because that's kind of my favorite part of this. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. For one, let's save this file. We'll duplicate it. Hello, Muriel. Nicholas is here as well. Yeah, I really like that red. I bet you this gloss paint is gorgeous too. Yeah, nonetheless. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we are. Everything is all red now. Okay, let's do a fun sort of like fly around. Okay, so we have all of our lights. Throwing another light in here, by the way. All right, light it up. Should have lots of lights. Okay, so check this out. Have this done. You notice right down here, there's a little timeline. Look at that. How fancy is that? A little timeline because check this out. Brand new. Select your object, right? So here's my object group. Down here, we'll go to animation and we can orbit this object, right? We haven't selected it yet, but that's our next step is to select that object. So we've targeted it. And this is going to be just really simple. It's going to rotate 360 degrees completely around over the course of 3 seconds. So let's just hit play. And it's not quite doing what I expect it to do, I think, because I'm going to turn on spin. Spin. Now we'll click play. There we go. So that's what I was shooting for. Is this the best example of a spin? You know, yeah, it's okay. I got another example I want to show you. And by the way, we don't have to rotate all the way around. We could say, you know what? Let's just rotate, 50 degrees over the course of 5 seconds. It's doing a very funky loop. Okay, let's stop that. Let's move this up. Take a little closer look at all these properties. Okay, so look at target. There we go. So I'm just doing kind of a slight twirl. So anyways, that's kind of what you have for animation. There it is. It's free. Hey, we just put it in there. Now you have it. Now you can animate it. How do you, render it out? Well, go to render. You're going to be able to export it out however many frames per second, which I won't get into because we don't need to watch it render. So, but we will go to the render tab right over here. Entire duration, 30 frames per second. Format is currently sent to ping file. I'm not sure why it's even like that, by the way. But from here, we can just go ahead and render that out. Okay, cool. Cool. Let me switch to another example because this is next level stuff. Can't you just make a circle motion path? I wish you could make motion paths. I really wish you could. Right? You don't have that ability. This is really kind of for products, showing a product example and then rotating around that product and seeing all the different sides. So that's what this is for. I still want to do this, but I want to do this to another example that's more interesting personally. All right. So, but yes, we have that. We have that done. Let's go ahead and ray trace this puppy as I take a drink of my coffee. All right, cool. Let's move on. Because what I've shown last week was a lot of crazy stuff. So if we take a look, really got into a lot of this type of work. This is what we ended up making last week, by the way. This was my final result. So I kind of finished it up off stream, but essentially it was a lot of these sort of renders using Cinema 4D. Okay, so I kind of want to take a look at Cinema 4D. Which I actually did get into last time. Like, here's a little face. Here's a little face. C4D, it's just one solid object. C4D works in a similar fashion, right? We have materials. You can go to your asset browser and access a ton of materials and objects and all that stuff. But I kind of point this out to kind of show you where to get 3D models, because Illustrator will allow you to extrude, bevel. So if we go to objects, here's your modeling capabilities in Illustrator, right? Make something a flat plane, extrude it, revolve it around a spot, inflate it. That's what you have, right? In Stager, you can bring in those items, and you also have various models in starter assets, right? So you can add your own text and all these different items, and then you can get into all of these, which are super fun, by the way, right? Light it up. Hey, we want a lamp. We can drop a lamp in there as well. So you have those models, which is awesome. That you can export, render, and do all that fun stuff with. Here's my text lamp. But where you get additional materials and additional models is, I use C4D. I'll go to stock.adobe.com. There you'll find some 3D models. So you could just hit enter. And now it's displaying all the free assets within Adobe Stock. But now you could switch to free 3D. And now you have all these 3D materials. Like, look at this, Earth at Twilight. How awesome is that? So this is a perfect example of what I could use the rotate for, right? So license it for free. I don't even know if I'm logged in. I knew I wouldn't be logged in. It doesn't matter. I'm just showing you this, a place to get some free stuff, which is awesome. Okay, another place, Turbo Squid. If you guys have resources, I would love to hear where you get 3D models. If you model the stuff yourself, whatever. In here, we want to do a female head. It's getting kind of weird, but what I like to do is go over here and turn on free. So show me just the female heads, and that's where I got this. Give me all the female heads that are free, and then I can have some fun with it. So that's kind of where that stuff comes from. Okay. Ooh, this one's cool. I love, somebody modeled this in ZBrush. Oh, I'm all about it. If you're wondering about file types, OBJ is a great one, right? We could take that, download it. Of course, I have to be logged in for everything. Why do I keep getting logged out? Who knows? But nonetheless, I want to get that model because it looks really cool. But I'm thinking, oh, it'd be really cool to take a model like that and then start painting it in Painter, which is what I want to do. So yeah, that is all. So here's this model, by the way. Like I mentioned a second ago, because I didn't quite show the full. Yeah, there we go. Asset browser in Cinema 4D. But here you have just a ton of objects. So we could even search for people. What are we going to get? Zoop. There we go. Here's a couple different examples. So there's a lot going on in here, just so you know. And yeah, now you know. 3D people, low resolution. Let's tile it, make it larger. Look at all these free assets. All free stuff is awesome, provided you did pay for Cinema 4D, so it's technically not free. So here's our asset. We could export that out and bring it into Painter, because that's what I want to do. I want to take just that and treat it like a blank canvas. Turbo Squid is pretty good. I'm all about Turbo Squid. I'm all about it. Sorry, I'm on the struggle bus. Cool. All right, so have that downloaded. I already have that loaded into Painter, but I can actually do this from scratch, and maybe I will. So let's close this. And let's go to File, New. Now I'm in Painter and I want to paint on a human face and do some cool things with it. Okay. So right in here, I'm going to first select my model. And personally, I'm not crazy how this is set up, but that's okay. Let's go in here. Let's grab the female head. These are just some of the file types: GTLF, FBX, OBJ. Select that. Keep this. You can have the document resolution. You could crank this up a little bit more if you want to. Up to 2488. It's pretty common. And then that's about it. We don't need to worry about any textures or anything like that. But it is going to be making a texture set, which is what's happening right now for the different parts of this object. All right, cool. Let's not wait for that. Let's just open up the one that I already had opened, because that's just going to be a lot faster. Okay, but let's apply some textures to it and have some fun. Some materials. We're going to paint on this 3D object. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's really what I'm into. Ultimately, what we're going to be working on, as that's loading, by the way, is something like this. So this is what we're going for, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. We're going to add those materials. We're going to paint on those, on that surface. We're then going to bring it back into Stager and ultimately get it into Photoshop as well. So that's the plan. Okay, and we're back. Let's open up this one really fast. Try this one more time. Come on, there we are. Okay, and we're back. Here we are. I already have some textures in here, but this is what we want to do. In fact, I might even get rid of some of these. Maybe I will. So I feel like I'm cheating. Let's just get rid of a couple of those. Sure, why not? All right, let's take this brass. Let's drop it on there. Boom, there it is. Let's hold down the shift key, right click. We can kind of see how metallic that is, right? I'm not moving the model. I'm just doing a right click and holding down the shift key. You can also kind of pan around by holding down the option key just to kind of see what this model looks like. You can always hit the F key, it will recenter it. So just think about that option key to kind of rotate it around. F key will recenter it just like that. Okay. There's a couple different parts to this, by the way. Is we could take a look in here. We can take a look at the 2D and 3D views. So here's my 3D view and here's my 2D view. So technically I could paint on this object right in here in this 2D view if you want to. But I'm going to work 3D only. I have this brass on here. It looks pretty good. So with this brass applied, it has a ton of properties off to the side. Zip. Right down here. Metallicness, right? You can play with these properties all day long. These should look familiar because this is exactly what we had in Illustrator, right? But there's some additional properties which I think are awesome. Right in here, opacity. Let's turn on opacity, right? And now here's our opacity. We'll kind of make it disappear. Boop. Just kind of showing you that, but what I can do is I can start painting on this, and I'm not even sure if I fully understand this, but I've gotten it to work. So let's go back in. Let's select a brush, and we'll just select a basic hard brush. And we currently can't paint on this layer, but what I want to do is I want to add a layer mask. So right up here, we're familiar with these. in, you know, Photoshop and other apps. Here's a mask. I just dropped on a pure black mask. So what happens if I start painting with white on that mask? Well, obviously, it's gonna go ahead and give me that color. So let's take a look at some of these properties. So I'll just like paint really fast. We have this size, strength, flow, all that fun stuff. We also have a bunch of fun brushes over here. Even Kyle T. Webster's brushes are over here as well, which again are super fun to work with. What I need let me just make sure. Opacity is there. Okay, it's part of that texture set. And let's just start painting. You know, on this face. And we could see that it's being revealed right there. Let's go back over here. There we go. I didn't have the opacity all the way down, but look at this. I'll undo this. I'm going to take this opacity all the way down, and I'm going to start painting on this black mask. We're going to paint with white. I really need to get rid of I want more of a dense brush, to be honest with you. But let me just start painting. What I'm doing is I'm like cutting this out. That's what I'm doing. I'm cutting out this whole thing, which is awesome. And what I can even do is let's do this. Let's invert this mask. I know this is going to get confusing. Invert the mask, and I'm going to start painting on top, and I'm actually revealing the face, right? So I'm painting, as we can see right over here, painting with black. I'm just like revealing that face like so. Cool. But what I could also do is I can come in, instead of using that brush, let's use, I don't know, something that's a little more fun. What do we got here? I like these brushes. So I've been using these types of brushes. Do I make my own materials? Not really. I mean, I could. I just take materials that are already out there and modify them. It's kind of like taking a photo and modifying a photo. Like, there's too many out there. But what I am going to do is I'm going to grab this leaf swirl. This leaf swirl is awesome. First off, I really can't see my object, but let's just start painting. We're painting actually on that object, and we can see it's kind of revealing that face with that lattice work. Right? Look what it's doing. Pretty cool. Right? We start to reveal that face. It's currently not very shiny. Let's do this. Let's drop another material on top. So basically, this is being treated as our, transparency layer. And then this is actually the color I just overlaid on top of that object that is giving me that texture. So let's go brush pure transparency. I'm painting like so, which again, I think is super cool. Still using those same shortcut keys, open bracket, close bracket. Oh shoot, I forgot to do one thing. Let's do this. You ready for this? I forgot a major component. Let's clear this mask. Let's invert this mask. And let's do this. We're going to turn on right up here symmetry. We're going to click that button. It's going to create this line down the middle. That happens to be the line of the face. All right, that's the center line of the face. So now I'm going to start painting. And it does it on both sides. So we'll just jump in here. We'll make it pretty dense near the main features of the face, and then it'll kind of branch out from there. Cool. Yeah, so symmetry is what I did not have turned on, but you have it right up here. You have different types of symmetry that you can work with if you select the option right next to it, but obviously I'm just mirroring straight down on the x-axis. Yeah, so there we have this. Now we can start to paint. Let's hit F. Painting more of this lattice work. And let's zoom in by clicking and holding down the Control key. So I might want to get a little more detailed in here. Is this not fun? This is fun to me. Lattice, lattice, lattice. Make this a little bigger. Twirl that on down like so. That's a little big. Yeah. Super fun. All right, we're just having fun painting. So, yeah, it's kind of up to you. I think this lattice work should get thinner the further it gets away from the face. So I'm just adjusting the brush size kind of out from here, smaller, like that. And let's take a look at this. Let's do one better. Let's control. Let's zoom in. Let's take a look at this. We have roughness, but also I want to drop on. It needs to have more of a bevel, and I need to add. Yeah, sort of embossing to this, and height. Let's take a look at height. I really need to mark these, my favorite brushes, as favorites. Let's try this. We're going to take this. You know, we're going to grab another brass. We're going to put it on top. This brass is going to have a mask on it, and we're going to be painting on top of it, but we're going to be adding roughness. Like a bevel to it. Okay, wait for it. There we are. Okay, we need to add height. There we are. We got it. Okay, so let's do this one more time. Let's clear mask. So what I've done here is I have this brass. I'm going to select on this new brass. This brass is going to be the sort of like the bevel on top. So select this brass. I'll go down here and I turned on height. Turned on the height, I cranked it up a little bit, and now if I start painting on the mask next to it, we're going to see that bevel. So let's just make this smaller. And that's what's happening. Let's zoom in there more so we can just see it. There's the bevel. Or emboss, or whatever you want to call it. And by the way, if I go back to the brass, I can adjust the height. So there we always have control over this to make it as pronounced or as subtle as we want. Cool. There we go. And what I'm doing here, so this is the transparency layer. I'm giving that also like a bevel, right? So we want that to have a bevel. There's our sort of color on top of it. And then, I don't know, that looks almost too bad. Let's take that down a little bit. But that's essentially what I'm doing. Cool. Yeah. So now I just need to get some work done. I gotta get some work done. First off, this part, this needs to be filled in more because it's just looking kind of bad. It's like too many little dots. It's kind of ugly. Right, too many little dots. So let's like fill that in a little bit more, maybe on the eyes, something kind of like that. Now let's grab our fun brush. So many cool brushes in here, by the way. I've just been using the swirly leaf. And in here, move that around. All right. Let's go to the bevel. Let's add some, like a nice bevel down the center, maybe. There we are. Let's give her a mustache. But yeah, we're just having fun right now. Hopefully you guys are into it. Cool. We made our face. What do you guys think? It is some fancy metallic work. So yeah, we have this made. I think we did a pretty good job. Do we fully understand it? Maybe, maybe not. What's fun about this is we could start to play with this. Like, this is my main brass pure transparency. I kind of want to try another brush. So can I duplicate this? Does it really even matter? Not really. Let's do this again. Drop that on. Ba-ba. Shabam. Shabam. Opacity. Opacity. Opacity set down to 0. That should have made it disappear. Oh, I need to invert this. There we go. Okay, so here's just a new one I just wanted to try. I just wanted to try a different brush, to be honest with you. Some of these fun crackly ones. Like, look at this. Watch this organic spread. Are you ready for craziness? Let's try this. Are you ready? Click. Whoa, what's happening? What is happening? Oh, I stopped it. Let's undo that. Let's turn these on. Let's try it one more time. Whoa, what's going on here? Face kind of comes out of nowhere. Isn't that crazy? I want to stop it. I could click. I could adjust the brush size, by the way. So let's take the brush size down and we'll click right on this eyeball. And now we have those little zigzags. So again, on the sort of outer parts, it'll be thinner. Towards the face, it'll be a little bit bigger. Get some little guys out here. And I can also turn that off. Cool. So that's fun. You guys having fun with this? With my model, I should have taken out the eyeballs. Look at that. That was just a quick export. I just needed to probably clean that up. Dang it. That's okay. All right, so let's turn on our favorite one. This is our favorite one. Let's save this file. Let's take this and let's now send it to Stager because we want to kind of animate it rotating a little bit. So that's the plan. Yeah, you guys into it? Froja, you like it? Khalid, how you doing? Good to see you here. Okay, so don't include unused materials because I made so many unused materials, but otherwise import. Oh, we got a little haziness. Interesting. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. This is looking kind of... Oh, I have the environment lights are weird and all that fun stuff. So let's fix that. I'm getting a weird halo sort of effect. It's because that brush had what's the word I'm looking? It's not a hard. It wasn't a hard edged brush, so that's why it's looking a little funky. But let's just turn on ray tracing and maybe that'll get rid of it. Okay, so ray tracing, it's absolutely fine. So we're doing okay, even though it looks good, looks bad in the draft view. But here we have this. Let's zoom out, and typically I would have a camera in here. Oh, look at a little stray guy over there. Select this. Making sure it's at the rotation, actually the position. I'm just going to make sure this is all zeroed out. There we are. Okay, it's right where I need it to be. Let's go to animation. Let's just turn on spin. And let's click play. So there it is, rotating around. I don't want it to rotate all the way around, so let's stop that. Rotation is going to go maybe 50 degrees. We'll click play. And maybe we'll adjust this to 60. And click play. All right, we did it. We did the thing. And just in time, 5 minutes left. Save this file. I would render this out. I would check the size first. So maybe I need to drop a camera in there. Let's see. Wait for it. Saving my file. Checking to see if you guys have any questions. How's everybody doing? 5 minutes left. Thank you, Jan, because I will blow through that deadline. I will blow right through it. Let's add a camera. And for this camera, we want to make this 1080 by 1350, say for Instagram. We will zoom in on it like so. And still might need to play with this. Let's hit play. Stop. Stop. Just final tweaks, by the way, right here. There we go. Play. And that's our fun rendering, or our animation that we're going to make. Save the file, jump into render, have this be the entire duration. Let's just make this 10 frames per second. And just hit render. So I want this to go fast. Oh, I have a cleanup issue. I need to clean this up right here. There's that little stray guy that I probably need to fix. But yeah, it's going to just render this out, and it's doing the obvious. Is there anything else I missed? Probably plenty. You know, yeah. Is there anything I missed? I don't know. So typically with renderings, I would jump back into another app and then start working on something else. So that's kind of where I'm at. 'Cause now I'm looking at this face. It's like we're kind of, you know, I was kind of drawing these vines, and I'm thinking, okay, the vines are cool, but what if I actually, you know, and again, these are extensions, but what if I used this multiflora, which I love, you know, sunflowers. Wait for it. There it is. We just created some flowers. We will add multi-cloner. Drop that right there. Take this. Put that there. Uncheck that. Boom. Make it smaller. So anyways, I was just putting flowers all over this face is the thought. So anyways, think our rendering's done. I'm only down to my last minute. Yeah, looks like it is not going to finish, but I will get this posted today, I promise. You know, something like this. And just to kind of fast forward, here's a render. Here's another render. Those look awfully similar. You know, here's another version I was working on. But yeah, you get the idea. So thanks for hanging out with me, everyone. I appreciate you guys. As soon as that rendering's done, hopefully I'll get it posted to Instagram. So follow me there, and stick around for T White. Terry White's should be up next. Let's just double check that right there. Photoshop 101 Part 3. Man, every time I watch his stuff, I learn more and more. Just when you think you know everything, no, you don't. So it's fun watching his work, and yeah, it's fun that you guys were with me today. So, yeah.